How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. With me, as usual, is Leonard. My name is Chad. This is a show about wrestling, and today we are going to be doing our random match reviews, where we take a random match and we talk about it, recap it. It could be from any era. It could be a short match, or it could be ones that are a little bit longer. We just do what we feel like around here, right, Leonard?
Right, we do. And one of the shorter ones, but interesting ones, is my pick today. I have today's pick, and it is Jushin Thunder Liger versus Barry Houston for the November 18th, 1995 episode of WCW Pro with Chris Cruz and Sonny Ono on commentary. The whole video can be found on YouTube. It's just a hair over 5 minutes. And this was part of the famed or infamous Disney MGM Studios tapings that WCW did around this time. And a little background, because there is a little bit of a story going on here. Behind the scenes, Eric Bischoff was working a partnership with New Japan, and they were working up to the World Cup of Wrestling that they were going to do at Starrcade that year. And to kind of introduce the Japanese wrestlers to the American audience, Bobby Heenan sold half of Pro to Sonny Ono. How Bobby Heenan had that to sell, I don't know. So part of Pro was being used to introduce these wrestlers, and of course, Sonny Ono had been a long-time business associate and friend of Eric Bischoff, and he was using Ono as sort of a liaison with New Japan, both on the air and behind the scenes as well. So, how I got turned on to this specific match was a YouTuber named Not That Tom Green, who has a series called WCW Deep Cuts, where he talks about like forgotten matches and angles and wrestlers and different things. And he had a video on WCW TV matches that he loved, obscure stuff. And he talked about this one. And from what he was saying, Houston had garnered a reputation in the back as being one of the better jobbers. Like, if you got to work an enhancement guy, get Houston. And Liger heard this and was like, oh, I can do some stuff with this guy, as we'll see in this match. So on these guys here, Liger, most people know him. He's one of the most popular Japanese wrestlers in the U.S., especially during the 1990s, along with the Great Muta, and really introduced sort of that new innovative high-flying style. And then Houston, he was trained by Dory Funk Jr. and worked in the Florida area a lot. His biggest success was probably being one half of a new version of the Blackhearts with Glenn Heath for IWA Japan. Heath would later be Gangrel. He had a tryout for WWF facing Tom Brandy, also known as Salvatore Sincere, on Shotgun Saturday Night in 1997. Also worked the NWA in the early aughts. PWI had him ranked 219 in 1994 and 414 in 1993 on their yearly top 500 lists. So you can give your chat before we talk about the match. Any thoughts you have on Liger and Barry Houston? Did you know about Houston before I sent you this match?
I did not. I had not heard about him, and I was like, oh, maybe he's, connected to Sam Houston somehow, or But no, I had not heard of him. But I will say I had to explain to my wife once what a deep cut was and what that meant, because she
Yeah.
had it totally wrong. And but anyway, I digress. But Jushin Thunder Liger, obviously, I'd heard of, and I've seen bunch of his matches, some in Japan, some in WCW. And on a side note, I remember when I did listen to the 83 Weeks podcast, Eric Bischoff talked about how, who was it? Cowboy Bill Watts, I believe, was one of the people who kind of, I think more than one person, but I think he was the main one who like kind of started to ruin the relationship with the Japanese promotion. And you'd mentioned that Eric Bischoff was trying to, establish one. Like, he was trying to, from what Eric says, he was trying to renew that relationship and make it good again. Which is why, I guess, even to this, like he and Sonny Ono were, I think, fairly close. But yeah, just food for thought. But yeah, had not heard of Houston, but I could see why he was looked at highly among the enhancement talent.
Yes, yes, and I have not, but I'm interested in looking at some more of his stuff from clips that Tom Green was showing. He had a match against Flair that I would like to find and take a
Oh
look
yeah.
at. So this match, I usually kind of do a bit of a detailed breakdown, and for this match, that's very easy to do, and there's a lot to unpack here. So Liger starts out working a wrist lock, and Houston does some rolls across the mat and fights against it to get out. They go to the ropes with neither guy budging on dual shoulder blocks. Houston tells Liger to try again, which he does. And Houston leapfrogs Liger, turns to catch a kick, and Liger gets an Enzugiri. Drop kick sends Houston to the floor. Liger pulls up on a suicide dive and gets a rolling senton off the apron. Ono calls this a cartwheel kick, but I believe is more accurately a rolling senton. Back inside, Liger gets a backbreaker and goes up top. He misses a senton. Houston with a body slam, and he gets a wrist lock armbar suplex thing, which I don't believe I've ever seen before, but I thought looked really cool. Some of the AEW flippy guys should try to bring that back, I think. Liger bails for a breather, and Houston nails a turnaround crossbody from the apron. Houston with a suplex variation on the floor because he doesn't have his head tucked underneath Liger's arm, but on top of it. So a little bit different looking. Back inside, Liger catches Houston up top and hits a superplex. Liger with a running senton, and then a gourd buster or it's more of I think a muscle buster for the win because it's more on the shoulders. It looks like and back of the neck. So less than 5 minutes. To me, one of the best under 5 minute matches I've ever seen. Chad, since I just gave the description, your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I mean, what I wrote was it was a short match but decent. And yeah, I mean, for the time they had, they really made good use of it. And I mean, Liger's moves for those who have never checked him out or have only just heard of him, like, I mean, the stuff that you see in wrestling, I won't just say one promotion. Like, a lot in AEW, but in every promotion, a lot of the moves that some of these luchadors or more of the high flying guys.
Yeah. Any of the lighter guys, anybody under about 200 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of these types of moves from people like Jushin Thunder Liger and some of the other people that worked Japan back in the 80s and the early 90s. And these are moves that he made famous, some of them. So it was cool to see him put on a showcase for this short a time. Um, Houston does a crossbody on the outside that was just a hair away from being a disaster. Like I wrote it down. Like when I watch it, like he nails it. He gets right back up and he's like motivated, And I like the people that like. I mean, even if the move didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to, they immediately get back up and they try to stay positive right away instead of kind of freezing and like having that oh shit look on their face. Um, I saw at the recent AEW pay per view one of the women from the CMLL promotion did something through the ropes that everybody does, which is just kind of like a tope suicida through the ropes or whatever. And she get her foot caught up on the ropes. She lands it, but not fully, But she just gets right back up and just powers through. Not to draw. You don't draw attention to that stuff. Houston's lands, but as I said, it was close. It's good you mentioned the suplex he did because I was looking at it and I was like, I can't pinpoint what suplex that is. I wrote down dragon suplex, but I don't even know if it's that. It was as you said, a little bit weirder.
Yeah, because I watched it a few different times. Because I watched the match, I went back to make notes, and then I was like, well, what is that? And I watched that section, and I eventually figured it out, and I went and I watched like a regular vertical suplex, and he's basically doing it like opposite. Like he's doing it backwards as far as the setup goes.
Right.
And it just looks a bit different.
Yeah, I'll have to check out the if he had a match with Flair because I remember there was years ago I read people were talking about good jobber matches, and one of the other ones that people mention a lot is with Ric Flair, and I believe the guy's name is George South.
Yes, I believe Flair and South is Flair could get a good match out of anybody. Really, he just liked to work. I have not seen the match, but the example that everyone gives is he got 3 stars out of Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, Yeah, it was hard to get a good match out of him, but
Yeah, so there
rest
you
in
go.
peace.
So the last thing I want to ask you here is again, I was really impressed by how much they worked in. And a lot of people who listen to us knows I don't like spot fest. But if you're under 5 minutes, go ahead and do a spot fest if it is entertaining and engaging and well done. And so what kind of star rating would you give this? Because if you're saying just a 5 minute match, I would give it 5 stars of 5 minute matches. If we're comparing against everything ever, I find it hard with the time to go more than say about 2.5.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. I think I've had this conversation most likely with you about
Mm-hmm.
movies in the past as well. Like if you're watching like a B movie, something was released in our day straight to DVD.
Yeah.
I would rate those differently as far as like I wouldn't compare, you know, Hollow Man 2 to, The Godfather, say. Like you're not going to compare those two. But I would compare it to other B movies, right? So in this case, I'd go on the jobber scale. Certainly a good 4 stars on this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yeah. So that is Jushin Thunder Liger versus Barry Houston. Check it out if you don't know it. And yeah, I'm interested in checking out some of Houston's other matches. I don't remember, but it looked like he worked against a lot of the guys from that '95 time period, and he worked a lot of the MGM studio tapings. Which, real quick, I'll just mention on that for people who don't know, they went down there to Florida, I think, a few different times and shot months worth of
Yeah.
television. And I believe it resulted, I don't remember who it was, but some tag team. I might have been the Freebirds. It might have been Garvin and Hayes. Will end up having a negative title reign. Like they lost the belts at the TV taping before they actually won them, like at a Clash or something.
I think I have
Uh,
heard about this. It's funny though.
yeah, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, that's my match for today.
All right. Well, let us know if you know anything about Barry Houston, or if you've seen this match, or if you watch it after. Let us know in the comments. Check out our other videos, segment surgery, what's that card, our full length episodes as well. And we're available wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you for checking us out. My name is Chad. This is Leonard, and we will see you next week.